I enjoy coming to work every day knowing that clients are depending on me to guide them through whatever financial needs they have.
Every client we have is different. And so it's really about finding out what's really the most important thing per client.
With financial planning, everything is interconnected. So a comprehensive plan means that you're taking care of income needs now, income needs in the intermediate term, and income needs long term. We'll do an asset cycle portfolio. We'll do a riskalyze test. We'll do a life insurance audit or a life insurance review.
And so when we build a deep relationship with our clients, then we can take a step back and then we can look at different options to help them specifically get to their goals. One of the things I feel our job is as advisors is to introduce strategies to clients that maybe they did not know that they were out there. But it's our our job to come out and say, have you ever thought about this?
And the planning it's not always about income, but a lot of it is also about the legacy. So the element of family is very important to us, and it's important to our clients. Welcome to Financially Speaking. I'm your host, Jeff Bush. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Shannon LaRosse. Shannon is going to offer some very special insight today into women and investing. We're celebrating National Women's Month or International Women's Month. I don't know what is the official title.
Women's History Month. Although it has a lot of titles.
Women's History Month. But anyway, so Shannon. So here we are in our office here in Pottstown, high atop the Security Trust building on the corner of High and Hanover Street. And Shannon is sort of a coming home for her. She's a Pottstown girl, right? Born and raised.
Yep, my whole life.
Yeah, her whole life. So so Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And before we start off, just like what do our viewers have in store today? What are we going to talk about?
So we want to start by addressing some of the unique challenges that we as women specifically have in saving for retirement, transitioning into retirement, and then throughout the rest of our lives, financially and in other aspects, sometimes more so than men. And then we'd like to also give some ideas on how to combat some of those challenges.
Yeah, it really is a different ball game.
It is.
When it comes to planning for women. I know, like in our practice over the years, sometimes I've had a lot of instances where we're meeting with a couple, like maybe the woman would come to the first meeting, but then in subsequent meetings she, for whatever reason, wouldn't, whether she wasn't interested or the man would take over in making the decisions. And I know I've always encouraged both husband and wife to be at these meetings so they can make decisions together, and that, the husband dies. And men always die first, right?
Generally. Yes. Yep. Statistically, they do.
Yeah, so then a lot of times, and we have found this numerous times, that the women are left to pick up the pieces.
Right.
And, that's not always an ideal situation.
It's not, and to be dealing with the stress of having lost your husband, and then also to have to deal with the fallout financially, not quite understanding where your finances are, how much you have, or how you're going to need to budget in the future. So that's why it's important to me as well when I'm meeting with a couple that both spouses are there, even if it's not really one of the spouse's main areas of concern, finance.
Yeah, but I think what we really want to hone in on today is, we're a lot of times we're meeting with single women.
Absolutely.
And you sort of have a very unique perspective, being a woman yourself, in that you can sort of relate to the issues that they're facing when they do planning, but at the same time, they still want to follow some basic fundamentals to investing and planning, right?
That's correct.
So what are so specifically? I think goal setting is important, right? When we sit down with our clients,
Certainly.
yeah. So why don't you walk us through how that typically works?
Sure. So I think, and you can find this all over when you're looking into retirement. I know it was at one point on one of my slogans. Uh, how's it go? A dream without a plan is just a wish. You really do need a plan in order to get yourself to your goal. So I think first off, setting some goals for your retirement. Maybe it is a dollar figure. Maybe it is a certain level of achievements or a goal to live with a certain amount of income, whatever it is. I think you need to start by working out the details and figuring out what it is that you want in retirement, what it is that you specifically need. And then by setting that goal, then you can start to tackle how you're going to achieve that.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to goal setting, I think if you're able to visualize what that end goal is, whether it's a specific dollar amount or whether you want to buy maybe you want to buy your dream house or your dream boat or take your dream vacation or whatever it is, I think it's important to have that concrete goal that you can work towards, as opposed to most people don't do that. Most people they don't really have a plan.
Exactly.
And that's why they fail, right? Because they don't plan to fail. They
Yes.
fail to plan.
Exactly.
That's an oldie but goodie. But so I also want to mention while we're having this discussion this morning that. We have been featured in the news, both you and I and our partner Steve. We went on a bit of a public relations campaign in the past year, and we were featured in Kiplinger Magazine, U.S. News and World Report. I was interviewed on KYW News Radio, featured in USA Today, and I know you were just interviewed for an article in what was the name of that magazine?
Proactive Advisor magazine.
Yeah, Proactive Advisor magazine. You could see that up on the screen. So yeah, so that's good information. We have all those articles out on our website. So I think in our firm, we really it's our mission to inform and to educate, and that's why we do these TV shows. We're here on PCTV today, and if you want to contact us, you can either reach us by email or by telephone. We have the numbers up on the screen, and you feel free to reach out to us. All right, Shannon. So there's some other, I think, unique planning issues that women face. For example, time in the workforce. Talk a little bit about how that impacts an overall plan.
Sure. So women are more apt to take time off of work, whether to care for children, whether to care for aging parents or in-laws. So on average, women spend less time working, and of course then that means less time saving than men do. So many women are a little delayed in saving, or have not, at whatever point you find yourself, have not saved quite enough. And I think that also is one of the reasons it's important to set a goal, and to set a realistic, measurable goal. I think in order to really set an appropriate goal for yourself on how much you need to save, you really need to work with a professional that can help you come at that number to determine really what you need to retire. No longer can you simply save what you can and then rely on Social Security or pension to carry you through retirement. That's not our reality. So because women are delayed in saving, some have not yet begun to save, I think it's incredibly important to begin now if you haven't. Or if you have started saving, to really get an idea of personally what you need to be saving right now in order to retire successfully.
Yeah. So there's no time. No, the best time to start is right
The
now.
time like the present, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing too is, I think in my experience, by and large, wealth has been achieved by the 401k.
Right.
Systematic investing through a corporate sponsored retirement plan. And I think, as you were going through some of the issues that women are facing, I think going along with that is working for a company that has those plans available.
Right.
The 401k, the 401k or the 403b, where you're coming right out of your paycheck every time you get paid every 2 weeks or whatever, and then the company has some sort of a match. I mean, that's really how wealth has been built, at least for the generation of people that we're talking to. And I think, by and large, women that we talk to just haven't been able to participate as much in those types of programs.
And that is the case, I think, especially those, the baby boomer generation. Many more professionals of that generation are men. I think one of the positive shifts that I'm seeing is that more and more professionals are also women. The amount of MBA graduates is nearly identical, men and women. It's almost a 50-50 split now, and I think that's fantastic. That would mean then the companies that most of them are working for are providing that 401k savings or that employer-sponsored plan savings. So it's an easy vehicle to be able to contribute part of your paycheck, and a lot of times they offer a company match as well.
Yeah, the company match is strong, but just the systematic, the discipline of, and then not to mention the tax benefits of doing it, whether you're putting in, if you're putting it into a traditional 401k, you're getting tax deferral.
Actually, Jeff and I recently did a special when we discussed the Secure 2.0 Act. And one of the benefits of that act was the more readily accessible 401k Roth contribution. So Jeff was right. You get the instant tax deferral if you're contributing on a traditional 401k basis, or one of the things that I like to discuss with people is the long-term benefits of contributing to that Roth 401k, which provides even more benefit than a Roth IRA, because you can contribute a much higher amount annually.
Yeah, and you're getting tax-free growth forever.
Absolutely.
Over your lifetime, and really over 2 lifetimes, because it'll pass to your beneficiaries tax-free also. But I wanted to touch on one other thing that you had mentioned, and that is that the difficulty in caring for whether it's a child or whether it's a parent. Because I think a lot of, it's not only the baby boomer generation, but it's also the sandwich generation, in that we find that people are caring for a child and an aging parent at the same time.
Right.
And that is a relatively new phenomenon that we're seeing, is that we're seeing people that are really caring for both a parent and a child. And it's really a difficult juggling act. And as you pointed out, a lot of that care falls on the wife, or falls on the woman,
right.
to
the majority of caregivers are women.
The majority of that care. So it really is. I think it's all about balance, and all about trying to find a way to achieve a lot of these things. And I think moving the financial goals to the forefront, and that's because that's really an important part of your investment life, is to save for retirement. And I think so often what happens is that people, not just women, but just people in general, just push that to the back burner.
Right. They do. You hear a lot of talk today, at least I do, about self-care. And women especially, because we're busy and we tend to neglect ourselves. Hence the fact that many of us have not prioritized our retirement savings. So you hear the buzzword self-care a lot. And what I hear as a solution to that most frequently is, going to the salon or getting your nails done or carving out time to go to the gym, go for a walk. But I would like to add to that that part of self-care is caring for your future self, prioritizing the need to work on your finances. Have a plan for how you are going to save, whether it's just a small amount per week, or whether you're able to carve out a larger chunk. But I think self-care should also consider your financial health as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think if you don't do that, you're going to end up, you're really kicking the can down the road, and eventually you're not going to be able to retire.
Right.
You're going to be working, into your 70s and into your 80s, and in fact, we are really seeing that now.
Oh, yeah.
We're seeing the workforce is really getting older. We're seeing people that working longer and longer and longer. And I think, a generation ago we didn't see that. Like back in the 60s and 70s and even in the 80s, we didn't see older Americans working.
Right, it was rare.
It was rare. I mean, people worked until they were 65 or whatever the age was, and they stopped working and they were done. But now, people either don't retire or they do retire and they find another career or another
Right.
job. We're seeing that a lot. Even, I know with our own clients, we even see that. Even the people that have done planning,
Yes. Right.
they continue to work. So it's really a different it's a different age. It's a different phenomenon that we're working in. I wanted to talk a little bit about the program that we have coming up. It's called the Retirement Design Lab, and we're going to take the show on the road. So we're not just all about being in the studio here doing the show on PCTV. We're going to be taking our show on the road. We're going to be at the Lower Providence Library. We have those dates up on the screen, doing a Retirement Design Lab. And that's an exciting part of our practice. Shannon, maybe you could take a minute just to talk about, because you're going to be one of our featured speakers on that. So what's that all about?
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about it because it's more hands-on. A lot of what we do is individualized planning because we feel that there's no one solution for every person, for every couple. We custom design our retirement plans for our clients. So this Retirement Design Lab, I think it's aptly named because we are going to be discussing how to design your retirement, your unique retirement. And that it is going to be a lab because it comes with a workbook that you can not only take notes, but do some of your own calculations, some thought, giving you kind of the groundwork for what goal you should be setting and how to get there. It's going to be interactive. We will be opening discussions. We welcome questions. So it's going to be a class that's held over 2 evenings, so the same group of people would attend both evenings. And it aims to provide you with more information that will allow you to craft your retirement. And then also it includes a third complimentary session as well, where you get to meet one-on-one with one of the advisors in our office, myself or Steve, where we can really hone in on your specific situation, which is incredibly important. Like I said, no one size fits all for retirement.
Yeah, so I would just put it out there for anybody who's interested. Give our office a call, or you can email us if you're interested in signing up. For the time being, there's no cost to that program because it is an introductory program, and we're getting it off the ground. And we are providing a lot of value, but for right now, we are going to be giving that free of charge. So take advantage of that. We'll be doing a number of those around the area where we serve, but this first one's going to be in the Lower Providence Library. So that'll be exciting. Okay, so we have some graphs that we want to put up there. The erosion of purchasing power. So if we look at this graph, we see that $100,000 doesn't buy what it used to buy. So Shannon, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So I think gone are the days when the safe way to invest is to place your funds in a CD or money market, or put it under the proverbial mattress, because inflation makes it so that if your money isn't growing and growing at a healthy rate, the value of it or the purchasing power behind what you have saved is actually eroding or decreasing. So I've heard so many times lately people recognize the need for savings, but they just don't know how to do it. They are terrified because of the volatility in the market. But if you're doing nothing with your money or just hanging on to it as cash, it's losing value itself.
Yeah.
So
in real terms.
In real terms, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not going to buy you what it used to.
Yeah, so if we're in a heavy period of inflation, which we are right now, so if
Right.
inflation is running at 8 or 9%, even if you're buying a CD that's
Right.
earning 4%, you're in real purchasing power, you're
Right.
losing 4%.
Right, real return, meaning the value of your
Yeah.
funds minus what you're losing in inflation.
Yeah, I think
right.
I think that's a really important message, because I think the tendency right now is, oh, CD rates are really up right now. We can get 4% or we can get 5%. But in reality, you're still in real terms, you're not getting ahead. And I
Right.
think that's where the value of stock investing comes in. And I think what happens is people are sometimes afraid of investing in stocks. And one of the things that you do and the way you do your plans is that you segment, you use what's called asset segmentation, and the part of the portfolio that gets invested in stock is really investing for the long term.
Right, absolutely.
So you can afford to take some short-term volatility. So we can just look at what happened last year as a perfect example in the stock market. In 2022, the stock market was down. If we just look at the S&P 500, the S&P 500 was down about 19%. So that's terrifying to some people. But when you look at the
Certainly.
overall scheme of things, the market will, there's always going to be sort of an ebb and flow to the market. And that's really where you're going to be able to make the most money over time, and really where you're going to be able to maintain that style of living and maintain the purchasing power.
Right, and I think the key to this is planning with purpose. Now, we are by no means saying that you should put even the majority of your assets in stocks. For most people, that's not recommended. We use asset segmented, and it's segmented according to the time frame for when you're going to need to use those assets. So, for example, if you know that you're going to need to start accessing income from your investments in the next year, then maybe the best place for those funds or a portion of your funds would be something like a CD or cash, because you know that what you're sacrificing is that purchasing power, maybe that 4 to 5% purchasing power. But to me, that's a reasonable sacrifice for knowing that your funds don't have the ability to lose money if the stock market declines significantly. But because you have that short-term income taken care of, you also have the ability for other of your assets to be invested for a longer time period. You can take a little bit more of a risk of that. And then, of course, for any funds that are really truly long-term funds, you can, if your risk tolerance allows, take a decent amount of risk, knowing that you are invested in quality funds that over the long term should appreciate quite well for you and exceed long-term inflationary rates.
Yeah, and of course we have a name for that. It's actually a proprietary name, Asset Cycle Portfolio. And if you're interested in getting more information on the Asset Cycle Portfolio, please contact our office. You can sit down for a complimentary review, either with Shannon or me, and we can go through that. And it's really an eye-opener when you think about what you can do. We can show you how you can invest in stocks the right way. I think another tool that's valuable is our risk management tool, Riskalyze, because what Riskalyze does is it really assigns a score to you as an individual, and really dictates how you can handle risk in the marketplace. So I think that tool helps us to determine what your right allocation is. Okay, so there's no time like the present. Waiting for the right time to invest can leave you behind. So why is this a good time to invest?
For a few reasons. Number one, the sooner you invest, the longer you're going to be able to take advantage of compound interest. You'll see one of the screens, one of the slides that we're putting up here shows the effect of saving or beginning to save, contribute earlier rather than later. In addition to that, because the market has taken a pretty decent fall over the past year, if you start to invest now, I understand the hesitancy. There's a lot of nervousness. A lot of people are very emotional when they consider the possibility of losing money. However, because the market's at a low currently, you're able to invest when it's low and hopefully take advantage of that eventual market recovery. Because we know that it's just a matter of time. It's not whether the market's going to recover. It is when. So by investing once the market's already taken a significant hit, you're really leveraging your contributions.
Yeah, think of it like going to Walmart and getting a 20% sale. I mean, you're getting you're buying stocks at a discount. I mean,
Right.
if the market has been down 20%, then you're buying low.
Right.
It's kind of counterintuitive, and
It
when
is.
you explain that to people, sometimes it becomes a little bit uncomfortable when you say, you know what, this is really a good time to buy.
Right.
Because really the emotional reaction is to get out. I want to sell my stocks now because we just lost we just lost 20%. Where we would say now's really a good time to buy because
Right.
if you have faith in the fundamental investment, it's really a good time to get in.
It is, and that I think is one of the many reasons it's important to have professional management of your assets, because investing shouldn't be emotional. Because when emotion comes into play, you are buying high and you're selling low. So by utilizing a professional advisor, you are able to take advantage of that professional management. And when I say that emotion shouldn't be involved, I don't mean that you should be working with someone who doesn't care about your feelings. There's certainly, it should all be dependent on your comfort in the situation as well. But as far as the daily management of your funds, it's important to work with a professional that understands and is aware of the technical and fundamental analysis rather than just what it feels like to see a temporary dip in the value of your funds.
Yeah, and we've done a lot of hand-holding over the course of
Certainly.
the last year. We've got a
Certainly.
lot of calls, and people are concerned about, the value of their portfolio going down. And, even though we've gone to great lengths to mitigate a lot of the risk, there's still, accounts have felt the effects of the market. So we have to really reinforce the plan,
Exactly.
the original plan. The fact that volatility is expected in any plan. We can't expect that the market is always going to go up and there is never going to go down.
Right.
The volatility is to be expected. And one thing that I always like to say is it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And we actually have a slide on that which we'll put up here, and you can and we can see here the importance of staying invested in the market. So Shannon, why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So as you can see by reading the chart, market timing doesn't work. It's never worked. Because it is oftentimes an emotional decision. And like I pointed out, you are buying high and you're selling low. It's knee-jerk reaction. Anytime there's a dip, you sell, but then once it goes back up, you're purchasing for a higher value than what you sold at. It's just, it's a losing method. So when we talk about this, and then this slide really shows you the detriment to trading on emotion in your long-term funds. You'll see it's based on the performance of the S&P 500. It's a pretty volatile, pretty risky investment. So this slide shows the possibility of staying in the market, meandering those highs and those lows for your long-term investments.
Very good. Well, we're reaching the end of our show here today. It's time really flies when you're having fun and talking about these important concepts that are important to to women investors in particular, but but everybody.
All investors.
And I think we need to come back and revisit this subject again because it's important. But please contact our office if you have any further questions or you want to sit down with us one-on-one. We can. We have several offices, and we'll put our office locations up on the screen. So we have, in addition to this office here in Pottstown, we're out in the Reading area in Birdsboro. We're down in Trooper. We're up in Allentown. So we really got a large part of Eastern Pennsylvania covered here. So with that being said, we're going to sign off. This is Financially Speaking.